I did a pilot project theater initiative with Nabisunsa Girls School in Kampala with 12, 13, and 14-year-old girls from different economic backgrounds, religious backgrounds, social backgrounds. And what I was trying to do was to put really the big idea, different Ugandans together working on one project, and see if that would foster collaboration, would foster them to think of each other differently. And so, for instance, a girl from a well-to-do background would see value in collaborating with a girl from a not so economically sound background, and that the girl from the poor background would find that she has value to contribute. And so what we did was we had a theater project where they took up all the different production roles. And so we had a stage director, we had a production manager, we had PR, we had props and costumes, we had all these different people, and then we also had actors, and they had to solve the problems, they had to do the audition process, they had to do the rehearsals, and I stepped in mainly as a supervising director. And so they would ask me about craft things, skill things, and I would help them develop those skills, but they were in charge of putting the play up for the rest of the school. And my learning from that, with the big idea that I went in about trying to create this idea of Ugandans helping one another, my learning from it was that eventually people will come together and they will do a project together, and their different skills play into how they work with each other. We had a situation where we had a girl from a very rich background who felt the pressure of being put in a big role, that she wouldn't perform it to their satisfaction, and they were judging her based on her background, and so she felt like she didn't want to be a part of the group. But later the role was given to somebody else, and she was able to be in the background and do well and bring a great energy to the group. We had a girl who was incredibly intelligent book-wise, and she was able to galvanize people of different education abilities to work on a project together as the director of the project, and she ended up doing a fantastic job and showing really great leadership skills. We had a girl who was sort of quiet and didn't want to contribute during the whole process because she came from a poor background and all the other girls teased her. But eventually she got the role of props and costume manager, and because she had to manage these costumes, and because the other people understood that she was skilled in this area, eventually by the end of the project she was one of the very highest contributing members of the community, and all the other girls looked to her for leadership where production was concerned. And so I felt that this would be an interesting way to begin to investigate what everyone from whatever background they're in brings to the idea of development, or the idea of education, or the idea of collaboration and teamwork, and working together towards one goal. My biggest idea is that theater is the best way to learn how the world really works, because everybody in the theater has a different skill, but each of those skills are necessary and mandatory for the play to come forward. So the understudy, the lead actor, the supporting actors, the stage manager, the director, the playwright, all these different people have different skills, and all those skills are necessary for a great production to work. And what if we transpose that into economics or social systems like welfare or education, that we found value in each and everybody's skill, and we wanted to work together to make our goals achievable and realized. And this is an ongoing idea, and I did the pilot project and it was very successful, and it is the best production of that particular play to date. and hopefully we'll be able to do much more in the future.
What was the title of the play?
The Cow Needs a Wife. It's a play I wrote and then adapted for the stage, and it had been done by amateur actors at the National Theatre before, and the girls requested that they would also have a hand in performing this play for their school.
And has there been any kind of feedback in terms of how the girls were able to were they able to transpose the lessons or the learning from the process of the play staging in their education, their social life?
I got feedback from their literature teacher, who's also the patron of their club, and he felt that in terms of cohesiveness of a group that is so different in background and religion and academic skill, there was a cohesion, and they formed a book club and were able to continue this relationship that they had. I also had feedback from a woman who runs an extracurricular sort of coaching program for 3 of the girls that were in my project, and she felt that she discovered that one of the girls had a different way of learning that wasn't focused on book learning, and that if she could introduce more hands-on, more practical ways of learning the basics, mathematics, English, science, she might actually make a breakthrough to this girl through the studies.
Interesting. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.